To Wednesday's Flash Briefing. I'm Verl Workman, CEO of Workman Success Systems, and this is the favorite part of my week where I get to have amazing guests just share the insights of what's working great for them in their business and their lives and what we're doing to just adjust and to make the most of the situation that's happening in our country with this crazy pandemic. I'm excited today that I have a great friend, senior coach, Joe Peoples. Now, Joe's a lot more than just a senior coach with Workman Success Systems. Joe is a great father and a great husband. He runs an incredible office, Reinhardt Realtors, back in Michigan. And I'm excited to have Joe just talk to us a little bit about his coaching mindset and philosophy. Joe, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me, Verl. And I do really appreciate that intro. The coaching journey has been amazing, and the real estate experience. I think in the bio it talks about starting from the bottom and working my way to where I am today. There's just so many great opportunities in real estate, and probably what kind of facilitates it. I have like this life purpose statement. I've said it before: to inspire and empower people to live the lives of their dreams. And one of the special things about real estate is that you are really limited by the vision you create. And sometimes what's funny is when we're on our coaching calls and we're trying to solve problems for clients, and you say, well, just need to double it. It's like, helping people embody or create a new vision for themselves too, because I'm not limited to that fact that there are times when I'm stuck in the own vision that I have, and I need to get shaken out of it to look for some other opportunities or see things differently. So appreciate the opportunity to be here today and share what we're doing here at the Reinhardt Company here at the West Office, and how we show up also as coaches who my full-time everyday work is working with the agents in my office, and I have this wonderful opportunity to engage with the people who come to Workman and help them bring their vision of what they want to fruition, bring it to life.
I love that, Joe. And I want to encourage everybody, as you join us on the Facebook Live, I just want to welcome our guest. Ron Howard says to tell you hello. And I got to tell you, Nancy Bauerbank, who's got to be a friend of yours, probably a relative, she says she's so proud of you and your commitment to the agent's growth and development. So it's fun to have people that are some of your friends coming on and saying hello.
It is good. Yeah, Nancy Bauerbank's one of the other managers here at Reinhardt. And something that's really important when we talk about our business, the way we coach, we coach, say, hey, listen, let's make sure we hit our top 50. Okay, let's not let anything fall through the cracks. Let's have a process for staying engaged. At the beginning, our company, the Reinhardt Company, set out to be the best, but not like number one. And it's around the consumer experience. We've always been about that one-on-one personal engagement. And our primary tool for success is about how well you work with the people that you're closest to. And Nancy's been a part of the Reinhardt Company for almost as long as I've been around. We were both agents. She's managed a couple offices for Reinhardt. She just completed this one thing, 75 strong. It was amazing the work she did with it. So I work with some really great people, and they're very supportive, and Nancy's one of them.
Right. So as you come onto the Facebook Live today, just say hello to Joe and tell us where you're from in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Joe, so, just before we get too far into this, I'd like to have you tell me a little bit about the company that you lead. Tell me a little bit about Real Estate One and Reinhardt specifically, and how big is your office? How many agents do you have? I know you're in a new building. There's been tremendous growth over there.
Yeah, well, I am in a new building, and we do have a only come to work if you have to order. So we've got great space and available for people to work in. But our office or our company, like I talked about, I've been managing this office for about 16 years. I started in 2005. Currently, I've got 49 licensees. 39 of them are active agents. When I started managing the office, we were doing about 250 deals in that year. That first year, I started just before the big recession or so, and our best year we closed just over 675.
Wow.
We've been down. We were a little down this year from our height, but we've done a great job recovering. At one point, year over year, when we were looking at our data for my office specifically, I was down 30%. And that was pretty scary. Fast forward, it's only 12%, which is a big recovery. We lost 60 of our best days of the year. But I think we've done the best we can. My agents who are having best year ever, uh,
Yeah.
primarily are having best year ever because of the feet on the ground work they did during the shutdown, staying engaged with people, a lot of basic activities. And we've learned a lot about how to conduct our business, I believe, better in 2021 from the experiences of coronavirus.
You know, it was interesting, Joe. I was on a coaching call just in the last 2 hours, and we were talking about what's going on. Like we're in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we're on a new government mandate that masks everywhere. Don't have anybody outside your family, immediate family, living in the house in your houses for 2 weeks. They've shut down a bunch of schools, and so as we see this increase in the virus because of the winter time and because kids are back to school and we're not all practicing the right things, I think that a lot of the things that we practiced in uh, March, April, and May need to be reapplied again today so that we can keep momentum going into the end of the year. It's going to be really easy in the holidays to take your foot off the gas and just hope it all goes away. But if you want to survive in real estate, it's probably not the best approach, is it?
It wouldn't be the best approach. Our company has a tradition. We always say, whatever market share we have at the end of October, we know that we're going to gain more because our competitors take a break. So traditionally, our competitors saw October, November, December as a vacation or a time to say, to review and give themselves a pat on the back. As a standard of practice, we know in our business, we have a lot of clients who are still in our pipeline who are still looking to buy homes. We also know that real estate works in a 90-day cycle.
Hmm.
So the work you do in the fourth
That's
quarter
right.
would be the opportunities in the first quarter. So if you take your foot off of the gas, or if you stop doing business development at any point in the year, you end up creating gaps in your business. And so, yeah, coronavirus is bringing people back into the house. Uh, I'll look forward to some extra days in my PJs doing Zoom calls. But what I have learned through this is great skills at doing 7 hours of Zoom calls a day. Got really good at that. The other part is the power of the forward dialogue. Due to COVID, we got to practice that bad boy like nobody's business. Myself as a sales manager, I learned the power of just regularly engaging with my agents with a conversation about their lives. And it was just us because we've been in relationships so long, just talking. But when I reflect on it, it really was about the forward dialogue. We lead
Yeah.
with interest in them, and we may have a conversation about real estate or we may not, but it's more important that we had a conversation and stayed engaged.
That's so true. For those of you who don't know what the Ford dialogue is, it's when you're making calls and you're reaching out to people you care about. You just ask them about their family, and then you ask about their occupation, then their recreation. What are they doing for fun? And I'll tell you what, it's amazing how people have been innovative during the COVID crisis, right? I've got people that have seen every state, visited all the national parks, bought motorhomes. Boats are out of inventory. I mean, it's been crazy the way that people have learned to have more fun. So if there's an upside to this, is that I think we've learned to stop working so much and enjoy our families because those are the safe places.
Yeah, well, you used that word before. We talked about doing fake work.
Yeah.
So I think what we learned is that we could spend more time with our family. We can be engaged with people and still be productive. A pet peeve of mine is the idea of being busy. I like the idea of being active. I talk to my clients, I talk to my agents. I'd say, listen, you have to just create a schedule where you run your business in the morning, you serve your business in the afternoon. Uh, and I love to describe it like this: you need 8 hours for service and 4 hours for running your business. And so if you're lucky enough to need all 8 hours, great, but ideally you can never give up that 20% of your time that you spend with the business development activities, checking in on your automated marketing, being sure that it's up and running, and also the outbound engagement with the most important relationships in your business. And so yeah, a shutdown, I mean, if we've learned anything factually about coronavirus shutdown in housing. Uh, People still need a place to live.
Right.
I've talked to clients in pretty much all over. I've got a client in Georgia in a vacation community, best year ever. Um, I've got El Paso, Texas, best year ever. Like, best year ever is coming for so many people, and they had different types of gaps in their business. I think one of the best things we did early in coaching with our clients to keep them on track is when you gave that assignment of, hey, what do you have in the pipeline? When is it paying out? And how much does it pay out over the next 90 days? And
Yeah, that's an eye opener when you start looking at what your flow looks like.
yeah, when you could see it. I think one of the things we've talked about with in like coaching, one of the things I learned through some training is that until people speak it out of their mouth, it's not real, and until they experience it, it's not real. We have clients who've come to coaching and said, listen, I want to create this 7-figure team. I want to create this great business. Give me the stuff to do it.
Right.
And it's like,
All
oh.
right. All right, Joe. So let me ask you a couple questions. So you're probably a coach before you're a manager and before you're a coach for Workman. You've been interested and focused on becoming a coach. I think your whole professional career. Tell me what drew you into coaching. Why did you want to be a coach?
Oh, well, I was talking to Joe, one of my new admins today, and he asked me a question about it. And in reality, I had always wanted to be a college professor, to be honest. That was the thing. I thought I would go to college, go work out in the business, get my fancy degrees, and come back and teach. I always had this idea that I wanted to help people move forward in their lives. So that was a vision. That vision took a left turn, and I ended up in real estate. And surprisingly, I became a sales manager. And what was sitting right in front of me was this opportunity to help people avoid the pitfalls or the struggles that I had experienced. Um, when I got into the business, I wasn't given the same tools that someone would get when they get into coaching. Uh, 10 years ago, let alone, there weren't as many opportunities to have a clear picture of here's what you need to do to create the most out of a real estate experience. So I've always had this desire to help people make this transformation. And you're right, I put some time into it. Uh, I've not always had the skill or the resources on how to best help people. I've always had the intention. And I think about a year and a half before getting into coaching, working with you, I got involved with some life coach training.
Hmm.
And I spent about 6 months on weekends going to Chicago for that. And then I spent another 4 months with a different process, and then another year on another process, always just deepening understanding about how to communicate with people about behavior change relative to the agenda that they set for themselves, and learning how to show up in that relationship and make it about the person, not the problem, and not about me. And so there's been a lot of work and a lot of personal development that's happened. But I need to be honest, the real growth has come through coaching. And the next thing that has really just puts the nail on the head are the other coaches that are in the program, our weekly coach training conversation, uh, the virtual coach training events that we've done, and seeing the skill and the hard work and the persistence and the not quit of the other coaches, and go, okay, there's more inside of me. I know I can be a little better. I can improve in somewhere. It's just tremendous experience. On
It's humbling. It's humbling to me. So I sit on those same calls and I watch how great the coaches are, and I listen to how hard they work and how much they care about their people. And I'm often taken back, Joe, just like you are, by, geez, these are cool people. And you're in that group. You fit right in there with them.
I try. I mean, like Nancy Bowerbank, one of our managers. Uh, Coaching has helped me swallow my ego. So I've learned so much more about humility and being humble from coaching and being with so many great people who have just taken the opportunities in front of them and charged full forward. It wasn't like they had all the answers before they started, but they knew they wanted something and they went
Yeah.
to pursue it.
Yeah, whether it's a real estate, it didn't really matter what your business is. You brought something up that I hadn't heard before, and I want to dive into the list a little bit. You said, you should in the morning you should be working on your business. You should be serving your business, and in the afternoon you should be serving your clients.
Yeah.
That concept, I've never heard that before. Is that something you came up with, or did you hear that somewhere? I like that. I'm gonna totally borrow that from you. I really like the way that feels. Like you get up in the morning, work on the business, get your structure in place, make sure all your all your I's are dotted and T's crossed, and then the afternoon, go out there, make it happen, make it rain.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I'm 100% sure I did not invent it. However, it's come out of a lot of work with Perfect Week, best schedule, best activity.
Yeah.
Uh, I'll draw like this Venn diagram with new coaching clients where we got the three circles. One circle is service, one circle is sales, and one is marketing. And I put 80% in service. There's that whole phrase, a bird in hand's worth two in the bush. You really generate your next customer delivering great service. And the more I say it, the more I go, okay, I need to make sure I'm embodying that. But on the other side of the coin, you cannot continue to generate new customers if you spend zero time in sales and marketing. And so when we look at our 13 key or 12 key concepts, we think about CRM, we think about leverage.
Yep.
You want to automate your marketing so it gets done with the least amount of time. And you have to then use some other times for direct engagement with people who are not actively in the market. You have to nurture the business. I'll be meeting, I'm on a board for a group called Michigan Ability Partners. And in this time, what's happened, nonprofits just are not getting the same dollar contribution. And so we were talking about ways to generate consistent donations. And so, in program, I said, hey, we need to talk about top 50.
Yep.
The executive officer, who your A or your absolute best donor relationships are. Well, we have to have a specific marketing and engagement program for them. It's just like we take these processes because these don't just work for real estate. They help us leverage and deepen all relationships. So, the idea is, like I said, serve your business in the morning, and then serve the clients in the afternoon, is that you just have to have a process of doing those, and you can't put 100% in any one spot. And
Yeah, I think that's so true. Michelle, who's in Colorado coming originally from Massachusetts, wants to know, when you're a startup business, how much time do you spend on putting your business in order and getting it ready to work, and then building your products? You're in production of producing stuff, and you're in the process of building your business. How do you split the time?
yeah, and you know what? If this is my client, I'd be like, okay, well, you know what your time's going to be for at the beginning of the day, so we won't be sacrificing that. And in the afternoon, when you're new to any business, you have to spend the time you don't have with clients, either prospecting or deepening and developing your skills. But get into the practice early. Never sacrifice your mornings to take care of your business for the service part. I talk about this over and over again. Real estate is a set piece event. Most real estate events can wait 120 minutes.
That's right.
120 minutes. They might be able to go 4 hours. And then if you take the rest of that time to service it. The other thing in real estate, rarely is there an event that happens that you couldn't be prepared for. I did an interview with Tim Powell just before this, and Tim had an event that fell into this category like, okay, you might not be able to do anything about it. He got a call the night before the walkthrough on a property that it had burned to the ground. You can't plan for that one.
Right. There's no disclosure for that.
But he called me, we had a conversation. We took about 60 minutes to gather ourselves, and then reached out to the client with a plan so that they knew where to go. I mean, a house burnt to the ground and we still had time. There was one other event that you had to do it now. In the winter here, when homes
freeze,
the pipes can freeze, and
right.
Lisa Stelter called me in the middle of the night, the pipes had burst and she couldn't find the valve. It was important for me to get up at that moment and come shut the valve, help her shut the valve off. But the idea, most real estate needs, service needs can be anticipated or taken care of in a planned structure.
I like to say there's no emergencies in real estate. If you have an emergency, call 911. Like, that's who you need to call. If it's a true emergency, calling me is not going to solve the problem. Now, Joe, you're handy. I wouldn't have known where to turn the valve off. I would have said, call the plumber. Let me call someone that's 24-hour on thing. I wouldn't have figured that out.
Yeah.
So I love that you have that same attitude. So tell me about developing your agents, and what are some of the things you do at Reinhardt to you have this culture of higher performing agents. What are some of the things you do to develop the agents, and how do you get them to engage as a leader?
Yeah. So, first of all, you're not ever successful alone. Success doesn't happen, in a vacuum with just one individual. So I'm lucky that I have 5 other managers that do the same role in our market. When we look at other brokerages, you don't have 5 managers of offices with 50 agents apiece in one market that support one another. So if I'm out of town, my agents can call Frank or Nancy or Carrie, Pia or Janet. Like, we're all available, and we each have a different skill set. So when you think about that little network, and then in terms of training, we do a training program where all of the managers participate and all of the agents in the company. So when we onboard new agents into Reinhardt, we cover the process of being a real estate agent, and all of that information is presented by people in our company who have expert skill. And so that expert skill could be an agent who's really good at working his center of influence. That expert skill could be another agent who does something unique with doing CMAs. It could be another person who has expertise in well first properties or whatever. So we start our people off indoctrinating with the idea that there's a lot of human resources available for you. Now, the other part of bringing on people in our company is the fact that all of the leadership is available all the time. All the time. Our general manager, Dan and Stuart Elsey at Real Estate One, these guys don't hide from their agents. Real Estate One has almost 2,000 agents in the state of Michigan. I don't have my phone. Oh, here's my phone. I could probably call Dan and ask him a question or send him a text and get a reply. Same for Bill. The leadership in our company is always available, just like professional salespeople. So I think that goes a long way to helping us be successful. And then, knowing what you're not good at makes a huge difference also in terms of being successful. When you see a hole in your own skill set, having that confidence to say, okay, so-and-so knows, let's ask for help. When I think about my own career transition, things got better when I stopped depending on myself. And when I started to trust the other people around me, everything got a little easier and continues. And when we look at building 7-figure sales teams, or we're talking with people about building their business, one of the things we're trying to help them do is we need them to revision themselves. They see themselves as the expert at doing the sales. And what we have to do is help them create a new vision of themselves and see themselves as an expert at supporting other people to execute their vision. And that transition is difficult when you've been experienced with doing it. You're the expert there. You want to put on that get on the horse and go save the day, and you have to train your people to save the day.
It's so true. So many people struggle with that. They struggle with figuring out how to create leverage, or how to let things go, or how to get to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And they feel like they're so important in the transaction. I was thinking about, I wonder, and maybe you can give me your insight on this, but why do so many people look to everything but themselves for why they are where they are? They look to point fingers or blame other people or blame others for when they struggle to succeed. It was my broker's fault, or my coach's fault, or it was the fault of my spouse or my kids. It's always, it's hard to get people to look internal. So as a coach, how do you help people get past that?
Yeah, as a coach, how do I help people? So one of the things is to always bring the client back to action. And so when my clients are talking about the team member that can't do this, the team member that didn't do this, I can't believe these people are X or Y. I say, okay, well, how did they get that way? What actions have you taken that would allow them to do something differently? Do you have a specific activity that's not working that you'd like to have changed? Okay, great. Why don't we talk about that specific thing? And then we try to have a conversation about it. And as we have that conversation about the specific thing, what I try to do is then use the language of the 12 key concepts to apply to the behavior change. And then once we use the language, it's like about where is the information about this tool? How do we articulate that? Today, for example, I was talking to Karen and we were discussing ABCs and her team. And I asked this question. I said, well, I'm just curious, how many people in your team could tell you what the ABCs are just off the top of their head? And that's exactly what she said. This is perfect. I said, okay,
Crickets.
she's a great client. And let me tell you why. I said, okay, here's what we want to do. Let's pick someone and let them know that the next team huddle, they're going to talk about A leads and what they do with A leads and how they know they have an A lead. And then at the next huddle, I want you to pick another person to talk about B leads and so forth. And the reason we want this to happen is we need them to embody it. You know, we go through the greatest salesman in the world and we want to make good habits. We want to become the slave of good habits. Well, you need to know what habit you want to be a slave of to actually practice it. And so until they can articulate it, you know they haven't learned it. And so that's part of an example of thinking what's not working, get this big story, try to break it down to a small piece. Let's talk about the small piece. Let's identify the actions that you can take that empower you as the leader to create transformation with the people you work with.
Yeah, a lot of people on Facebook say that that's great advice. And I think that instead of, I like how you flipped it from instead of blaming others, what's the action I can take? So let's turn it actionable. Let's move the conversation away from blaming because that doesn't do any good
Yeah.
to what are the actionable things that you can focus on? What's the real problem?
Yeah.
And it's not that they don't want to do ABCs, it's they don't understand what it is.
Well, it's the Oz principle. You
Yeah,
know,
below the line.
we had, yeah. And so it's like, what can we do? Or as Cleve says, if you're the boss and things aren't working, you know whose fault it is. You know, or I think about our owner, Dave Lutton, the guy who used to be the owner of our company here in Ann Arbor. Dave says, maturity is seeing oneself as cause. You know, and so these are all packaging of the same idea, you know, but the trick is, you know, never be a victim. Whatever situation you're in, feel whatever you're feeling, take the time to feel it, and then focus on what's the next thing you could do that has the possibility of making it different.
Not guarantee, but is it possible if you did this, it would make it better? Great, great insight. So I'm curious, when you, as you're coaching people, whether they're your agents internally or workman clients, whatever, as you're coaching people, what do you notice as characteristics of those who have a faster trajectory to success? What are some of the characteristics of the ones that just do better?
Curious. They're curious, they don't question, and they take more action than no. So they take action and not know the answer. They're curious and humble. That's what I've witnessed. The other part is they come to the coaching call with an agenda, and the agenda is not always prospect more, make more money, but an agenda. I got this thing going on, and it's related to real estate. It's related to a client. It's related to whatever. Uh, when I talk, probably the most important thing I've done with any relationship when I really reflect on it is being available for people to talk through what's in their head. I may not necessarily have to give like some great advice as much as practice listening. And usually people can talk themselves there. Um, Not being tied to the outcome for people to allow them the opportunity to explore. But the speed to success is really not questioning the process, being curious, and asking for help. That those are the keys. And the more you try to hold on to your hero status, it's just going to go slower. It's just going to go slower. I
I
will
love,
show
I
up
love
on
all that.
to talk to anyone, but at the end of the day, as long as you have to do the work, you're not building a business.
Yeah, you have a good job though.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Great insight. And Don actually reposted, never be a victim, feel what you need to feel, do what you need to do, and then come up with a possible solution and work on that.
Yeah.
Whatever the possible solution is, great insight. I love studying the elite and trying to figure out what their secret sauce is. And curiosity is a huge one. It's the why not? It's the hey, if they're doing it, why can't I do it? Let me how are they doing that? They want to know what others are doing. Curiosity, I think, that's what feeds me. It gets me up in the morning. I'm curious every day of and I'm constantly looking for people that just do it better. And I want to know how they did it and how did they get there? And I want to create a system around it and workmanize it and share it with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like over and over though, realize they have a short agenda
Yep.
and they focus on it constantly, and they sleep better at night. This has been my observation. I think of Lee Tessier is like
Yeah.
one of my prime examples. Like the guy is cool, calm, smooth, and I think he mentioned that once on a coaching call. He talked about like, yeah, have a short agenda, stay focused on it, never lose sight of it, and it all works itself out.
And it's fun to see his tremendous growth in his business and in his life. I
Yeah.
know he's in Florida today setting up his new team. So he's starting another team in Florida after leaving Maryland. It's fun to watch that trajectory of growth.
Yeah.
So, Joe, what is it in you that gets you passionate about motorcycle riding and taking long trips? And
Oh,
what are some of your favorite ones you've been on?
oh. So my favorite was a ride out west. So every year or every other year, we'll ride Appalachia. And one of the neat things about a motorcycle ride, when you're gonna ride, like I'll do 1,000-mile rides per day, and so no
A
matter
day?
a day, yeah.
Okay.
So no matter how fast you want to get done, it takes 17 hours. If you go really fast, you burn more gas and stop more often. If you go slow, you just can't escape. You just get to be with it. And one of the neat things about a 1,000-mile ride is that you just get to witness the ebb and flow of the highway for the day. I did this one trip. It's called the Great Circle Route, and I rode around the Great Lakes in 2 days, 2.5 days, and it's just under 3,000 miles. And so you ride about 1,500 miles a day. And so you start off in the morning, you ride I started off in Buffalo and I finished in Duluth, Minnesota. I flew in, got there in the night. And it's just amazing just watching the world unfold in front of you slowly. And you just slow down, settle in, and be with it. Um, I need that because I'm in a hurry. Me and my buddy, we did the same thing when we went out to Colorado. We rode from Chicago to Colorado Springs in a day, and then we'll ride every day for about 10 hours. And you get to meet the people in these little gas station stops. You get to see what America's like in between. And then when you come back home, like I come back to Ann Arbor, my piece of reality is like, wow, this place is different. I have a greater understanding of, all the different ways people live. And if I flew, I would never see all of that inside of America, which teaches just a lot of humility, I would believe. And you kind of see how well, when you live in a major urban center, we actually have a lot more wealth in a town. And as soon as you leave it, it's different.
And people are still happy, aren't they?
They appear to be. I remember I was up in Canada getting gas, and this Jeep pulled up, and this woman gets out of the car with a Georgetown University shirt. And I was like, didn't expect to see that. Expect to see that. So you see all kind of things that just catch you by surprise. And the landscape out west it is just amazing how you can ride. You go over a plateau and you can ride through rain, and then it's hot, and then it rains again, and you haven't finished that plateau.
It is crazy. Elevation changes weather, doesn't it?
Yes, it's just massive. I love the massiveness of the out west. You guys, I'm just so happy to get a chance to visit Utah because I go, oh yeah, this place. I don't know how you could get work done with all of that beauty and scenery out there all the time. It's just amazing.
So my wife says you can get a motorcycle, but you'll never get me on the back of it. Does your wife go with you? Get Kim on a motorcycle every once in a while?
Yeah, Kim will ride to downtown Ann Arbor with me, but she is not interested in a more than 30-mile ride. We'll do some rides around the country, but no, she's not doing that. I'm
Yeah.
lucky to have a really good friend that I can ride with, that we have a good relationship with, and it just works out really well for us to take week at a time trips together.
So it's funny because when I asked you about riding motorcycles, you have a different glow. You just lit up. You lit up, and I love to see that's a happy place for you. And it's
Yeah.
interesting that some of the things you said about your ride is you get to slow down and you get to see things unfold in front of you. You said earlier when you were talking about coaching is
Mm.
you got to slow down, you got to see things in front of you, and you got to do small lists and attack it instead of trying to rush through things. Have you ever thought about your experience riding motorcycles and applying principles to coaching? Have you ever thought about that analogy and bring them together? Because I'm listening to it and I can help you build it.
Yeah, I could totally create the whole analogy package around it, because how do you ride 1,000 miles? Well, 300 miles at a time. I have a 8-gallon tank on my motorcycle, so I can go 300 miles in the tank. So yeah, you basically go, yeah, 50 miles, 50 miles, 50 miles, 50 miles. You do the same thing in your business. It's like, okay, really, I just need to take care of the one client in front of me. I really just need to process this one thing. You establish the one thing and you get very present. One of the coaching models, they have a foundational principle called dance in this moment. And the trick is, how present can you be with what's the one thing you need to do in this moment that moves you forward? And when you start to think about where you're trying to go, you create what they call that gap focus, and things to start to pile up, when really all you need to do is, well, I really just need to write down one name, and start to make it smaller so it's less intimidating.
I like that. I think that's your new book, Joe. You got to come up with a book.
Oh gosh. Yeah, there we go. I'll come up with a book.
The highway book. I got to think about that. I'm gonna have to brainstorm that for just a minute. All right.
Yeah.
So what's next for you? What are you working on next? What is the next thing for you personally in your personal development or your leadership development process?
Oh man. Well, I mean, I'll kind of out it, Yeah, master coach clearly is an objective in my mind. Um, Become more skilled at just being present with the process. There's some gaps I feel like I have in my coaching. I'm really good with being present with people in the moment. I just want to make sure I'm able to hold the outcome they're looking for all the time, more present, to make sure I practice being with people and seeing them what they can be versus what we're dealing with in the moment. I mean, there's a lot of work for me to do mentally to keep myself where it needs to be, um, and also building my own trust around people and being confident and cooperative with people, letting more people in, asking for mental help. I have a lot more work to do in that space. And so that's what it is. And career wise, what do I have? I got this one fantasy. I'd love it to happen because it's killing me. I want to go down to the Caribbean and rent one of those catamarans and sail between those islands. And
Right.
that's what I really, that's my now kind of thing that's driving me. But the coronavirus and the, what do they call that thing? The quarantine and all the,
Quarantines and hurricanes, and there's all kinds of stuff going on down there right now.
there's some stuff that's interfering with my plan, but that's what I got my mind on. And the idea of sailing fits in with long, slow motorcycle rides. You know, I like craft coffee. I like to make espressos and very specific coffees. And the idea of being specific and planned and organized and putting in extra effort for things, I like that. I like that part of it. That's what a motorcycle trip is. Planning a long trip. I like that. I like complicated things, problems I can't solve. Those are fun.
As a scoutmaster, Joe, I used to take these young boys up into the Hyuena Mountains, which you've been on in your motorcycle, and
Mhm.
we would walk 60 miles. And the common question was, are we there? Are we almost there? Are we there yet? And I used to say over and over, it's all about the journey. It's not about the destination. Stop and look around. Enjoy where you are. Look at where we're standing, and look
Yeah.
around you at the beauty of this place. Enjoy the journey. And I think that's a great message for today's flash briefing is to, hey, and all the crap that's going on, can you still enjoy the journey right now?
Yep. You can, because there's a lot. You're alive and you have a chance. So enjoy every second.
I love that. So, Joe, I want to just say thank you for being here. I love the insight that you have. I love where your goals are headed. They're aligned with where mine are. I'd love to see you be a master coach too. And your coaching clients are very lucky to have you. Joe's one of the many coaches we have at Workman Success Systems that doesn't coach because they need the extra income. They coach because they love to make a difference in people's lives. And Joe, I commend you for that. And I'm grateful that you're part of our family. Thanks for being part of us today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity from you and all the other people who've helped me get here.
All right, everybody. So thanks for joining us on our Facebook Live today. Reach out. We'll see you all next Wednesday on the next Wednesday flash briefing, if I can say it. Bye, everyone.
If you are ready to level up your real estate business, set up a coaching consultation by sending an email to coach@workmansuccess.com. That's coach@workmansuccess.com.